Hello, 2 minutes past 8 o'clock in evening here in the UK. Good evening. This is 8 till late from youtube.com/Wi-Fi sheep live with me, Tom. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for this live stream, whether you're watching live or pre-recorded. Absolutely fantastic to have your company. Quite a few things I want to get through tonight, and we're going to do some work. So spoiler alert, we're going to do some soldering again because I've got some stuff to do. So we'll be getting on and doing that. Anyway, how are you? Hope you're well. Hope the weather, wherever you are in the world, is treating you kindly. If you're here in the UK, you'll know that we've had frosts and morning starts for me starting at about -6 degrees C. Beautiful weather as in, you know, sunshine, but it was, my God, frosty mornings. Through to the weather we've got now on the weekend where it's warmed up to about 7-8 degrees, but we've now got storms, and there's a named storm coming in and things are blowing around the garden as you would expect. Yeah, a few things to catch up with you. Before that though, do you have a need for reliable and cost-effective web hosting for your blog, business or personal website? If so, then look no further than Cheap Host UK. Cheap Host UK's basic plan starts from only 58p per month. That's £6.99 a year. And if you're needing a little bit more, Cheap Host UK's premium packages start from £1.41 per month or £16.99 a year, complete with a free .co.uk domain. New customers can also take advantage of an extra 10% discount when purchasing any first-time hosting package or domain name from Cheap Host UK. Use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP, to get an extra 10% off. For reliable, cost-effective web hosting and domains, look no further than Cheap Host UK. Full details and an affiliate link are in the description to this video. Indeed, and a huge thank you to Cheap Host UK for sponsoring us here at 8 till late live on youtube.com/Wi-Fi sheep. As I just said in that little piece, if you're interested in first-time domain name registration or web hosting, you can get 10% discount when using discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP. Just head over to Cheap Host UK. Details and links are in the description to this live stream or video, depending if you're watching us live or pre-record. And we'll just say good evening again to Martin Parker, who joins us, who is one of our Patreon backers. I need to remember where you were. And that reminds me, I didn't do this last week because I forgot. So we better say a huge personal thank you to all our YouTube channel members and Patreon backers. There they all are. There's Martin, second from the top there. Huge thank you to each and every one of you for contributing and supporting me and the work I do here on the channel. Generally couldn't do it without you. If you want to join them in supporting me and getting access to exclusive content, you can do so either via Patreon. It's patreon.com/Wi-Fi sheep. Or if you want to stay on the YouTube platform, there is the YouTube member tiers from £0.99 all the way up to £2.99, and that'll be translated into your local currency. And if that's not possible, you'll see the prices in US dollars. Once again, a huge thank you to everyone who makes Wi-Fi Sheep possible with your kind support and donations. So what's been happening? Yeah, fair bit. Week's been okay. Been back in work, actually done virtually a full week at work. Got a few projects, quite interesting what's going on at work at the moment, and it's a work related project that we'll be doing shortly, so I've got to do some soldering. So the soldering iron is sort of there. I'm going to bring up my table and get that fired up, and I'll explain a little more what we're doing. One thing I'm going to do is a bit of a mail call, because I've had a few things literally I've either bought today or arrived on the doorstep and I wasn't expecting. So, show you a few things. That's giving one away, and that camera isn't working. Oh, hang on. That gave one of them away. There you are, spoilers. Oh dear. We appear to have lost. Why have I... it was going so well as well. Bear with me one moment. Technical difficulties. There we go. Hello. Okay. Just pretend you didn't see that bit. even managed to have a cup of tea just before we came on air as well, which is nice. Nowhere to put the mug though. Mug will have to go there. Right. So myself and Anna, that's my partner, we went out for the day and we visited Wem, which is a small town to the north of Shropshire, where we are, and had a look around the charity shops. And I bought a few bits that I randomly saw, so I thought I'd share with you what I bought. Here's number one, which is for £2. Is this mouse, which I didn't realise it's got plastic on it that's gone super sticky, which we can probably clean up actually. It's a laser mouse. It's got this metal and that clicks, but this part is like super sticky. What interested me was the tail came with, if I can get that out, a USB to PS2 type adapter. So I assume this works. That's unfortunate that's gone sticky. A bit of crack in it as well, but let's do you know what, we might be able to clean that up now. Should we do that while we're here? It's that plastic that kind of, it has that sort of like rubberized texture to it, and the flaw with that is that the rubber deteriorates and you get this sort of sticky mess. But what you can do is, this is surgical spirit, Q-tip or cotton bud, pop that in. Let's see if this works. Just to clean up the residue. I thought it looked a little bit icky in the bag, you know, but it's like £2. You're not gonna complain really. Let's just see what happens. See if that makes any difference at all. So just using the dry end. Oh yeah, that's much better. That's much better. So I don't know if that'll be a permanent fix, but it's good enough in a minute. You do have to be careful because it can take off the silk screening. So you do need to be a little careful how you apply it. But yeah, it might go sticky again, but for now. Fundamentally flawed design, but there we are. So that was the first thing I bought, which we've just rectified. I would test it on the X1 board, the Youyeetoo R1 that is actually streaming. Still using that board, it's still working really, really well, but yeah, it might bring down the streams. I suppose I could, if we want to do a quick test, I could just try it over here on the Orange Pi. Okay, so you see that it's lit up. It needs to clean, but that works. Left and right work. Scroll reel, that's working. Yeah, cool. Yeah, still needs a bit of a clean though, but excellent. So yeah, £2. Quite unusual little mouse actually. So still needs a clean, but cool. And we know this one is actually PS2 compatible, which is also kind of cool. So that may have some retro uses. It's kind of neat. It has a metal top. I've never seen one with like a metal top like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Right, anyway, moving on. Same shop for £1. And it's actually still sealed. And I don't think this was sealed by them. It could have been sealed by them, I'm not sure. into that. Okay. If you're watching me in North America, you may be a little confused as to what this is because you didn't have this standard. But this is SCART, which basically is like analog HDMI, and it is a standard we had here in the UK, and it was a European video standard for composite, RGB, and S-video could be supported on this standard. And it looks like this is new old stock that's never actually been used. This is a multi-link switch box, which I think would actually detect via voltage, which so you could basically have one that will go into your TV or monitor. Mostly TVs actually that use this standard. My flat screens here do actually support it. So, for example, that one there does actually have SCART in the back of it, so this would work with that. And basically, you could then have multiple inputs fitted to the front. And I don't think I've got. You can get splitters for things like composite, component, S-video modules that sit in, and theoretically those would work. I'm just seeing if I've got one to hand, and I don't think I do at the minute. Yeah, so basically what I'm thinking is I could have, for example, multiple devices plug in, all three basically, 3 different retro systems or anything running on composite, and I could have all that automatically switched, same amount to pull cables in and out. So we'll see how well that works. It was £1, new old stock. People don't really want these unless you're running... sorry, I nearly took a swig of Sergio Spirit then. Yeah, danger to myself sometimes. People don't really want these kind of stuff anymore because everything's HDMI now, so you know, they don't go for much, and you find them in the charity thrift stores very, very cheap. And yeah, it'd be very interesting to find out how well that works. So that was my 2 acquisitions. Do you know what? I'll pop that back in the box later on, or the packet rather. Right. And then, as we got back home, and I honestly now wasn't expecting this. We got back home, opened the porch, sort of the front door, like porch, and then you have the main door for the house. And sitting there in the porch, because the porch wasn't locked, was a parcel addressed to me. And I'm thinking, I know for a fact I haven't ordered anything of late. I know last week I bought new second-hand trains, the whole Hatton's debacle, but no, hadn't actually bought anything. So I thought, what on earth can this be? Anyway, opened up the packet, and you did see it earlier because the camera froze. This arrived, and this is from Youyeetoo, and it's the Youyeetoo R1. Now, we did a review. Just end of last year, we did the Youyeetoo X1, which is this board, and this is the R1, which is kind of similar. But I know I'd spoken to Youyeetoo, because obviously this is as a sponsor. By the way, this bit now I'm talking to you isn't sponsored by them, but we're just talking about a product. I'd had some initial discussion because they were really impressed with the X1. Of course, this X1 is actually what you're watching on stream now. It's literally just off. I'm going to mess things up if I do this, but there it is. Okay, so it's literally, that is the X1 running this live stream, and you can actually, there's my monitor display. Yeah. Running the live stream. So the X1 is actually busy running this live stream. So it's a brilliant, brilliant board. And I did say I'd push it into service, and it is in service running this live stream. Anyway, so we did talk about the idea. They said, oh, you know, would I like to review the R1? And I said yes. And I never got a reply. So I kind of thought, oh, well, that's the end of that and whatever. And then all of a sudden today, here it is, sitting on, you know, my porch. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, did not expect to see that. So you can probably guess we're going to have another sponsored review video coming up. And I'm actually very excited about this one. So there's the spec rather. What are we? All in Mandarin. Mandarin Chinese. It might be simplified Chinese, but there's the English address, by the way, if you're interested, go and have a look at it. But just wonder if we can. They always package these very tightly in these sleeves. I just thought, should we have a quick look inside? I've not generally not opened this yet, but I need to be careful because when I do the unboxing reviews, I need to kind of look like I've opened it for the first time. So let's have a look. Just out of curiosity. Ah, okay, interesting. Just have a quick catch up on the chat there. So we got Paul OB is in. Evening all. I'm a big advocate of SCART. I am as well. A lot of American retro enthusiasts envy us for having that standard. I know, it's a blooming brilliant standard. I have the adapters, the RGB to SCART adapters for the BBC Micro for 6-pin DIN. Out the RGB of the BBC Micro straight into SCART, allowing you to run them with modern monitors. So yeah, I know what you mean. I know, it's like, why didn't North America? What were you thinking by not adopting that standard? Seriously. Anyway, yeah. And Dave Paul Jones says, good evening. Good evening to you, Dave. Thanks so much for joining us. Right, so let's have a look. First I'm opening this, and we've got... Okay, that looks like some sort of a heat sink. I've got to do this all again, by the way. Here's the board itself. There we are. That's the Youyeetoo R. I'm gonna struggle to say this. Youyeetoo R1. There we are. And the power supply, which that's interesting. They took the power supply out. Interesting, and I know why they did that. Right, because I had a bit of a moan. The last one they sent me, I think it was an American supply they sent me, and I said, well, that's not really going to be any good. Although most switching supplies, it was actually 240 volt tolerant. The plug was wrong, and I didn't have the correct plug, so I had to use my own supply. So they've actually, I think some of these would actually ship. I assume they would ship with the power supplies. I'm not sure, but that's where your PSU would go. Again, I need to do. I was generally not expecting to see this today, so let's have a quick look in the bag. And there we are. That's an R. An R. How am I going to R1? R1. There we are. I'm going to struggle to say that now. And the power supply. Here we go. So it's a barrel jack. It's probably the same standard as what the X1 uses. So that's not going to be a problem. Can probably find something to fit that. No worries. They actually have also sent me. It's in the box. I'll grab it in a minute. They've sent me the. This is the plug adapter for plugging in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth aren't standard on these. This is like a Bluetooth Wi-Fi card that clips in there. You saw it if you looked at the X1 review. You've seen me. It's the same card standard. So full HDMI on this one, and we've got a USB-C. I've never seen a jack like that before. USB-C and USB 3, 2 USB 2, Ethernet networkings we'd expect. Love the little GPIO jumper on these. SD card hanging up, micro SD card hanging off, some GPIO, and we've got display, and what's the other one? Not sure. I have to check what that is, but oh no, I beg your pardon. There's the Wi-Fi. What's that one underneath there then? That might be EMM's. What's that one then? That's the Wi-Fi. Sorry, I thought the Wi-Fi was underneath, but no. There's the. It's clearly in the silk screen. I'll turn this around. You can see. So it's actually got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Actually fits on here. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting. What's different about these? It's powered by. Here it is. You can see it for yourself. Rock chip. And it's the see if I can see that RK3588S, which is it's an ARM. I think it's ARM quad core, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure what the spec. See, when they send you things, you're never quite sure what the spec is. So it does have eMMC memory from, I believe, yeah, SanDisk. It's there, so it's got onboard eMMC. which is pretty standard on everything now that's not a Raspberry Pi. 64 gig eMMC, and I'm guessing these are both RAM. They look like RAM, so this could be up to 8 gig of RAM. Those are 4 gig chips possibly, and yeah, so the rock chip, it's actually the same chip that powers, well, a very similar family of rock chip that powers the Orange Pi, and I actually found the Orange Pi was very, very good. The 800 that we use, almost like daily driver. So when they were doing this development board with the same or very similar architecture, these are the things that are powerful enough to run ARM 64-bit versions of Windows, which, if you remember, we only ever got running on the Raspberry Pi 400. And I know there's a version that builds for this particular chipset, so that's where my mind's going. Obviously you can run the Linux, and it has things like the audio jack out as well. Yeah, so that's going to be very, very interesting to play with, especially as it's kind of, we're moving out of the realm of the kind of Raspberry Pi hobby boards and into the realm of kind of integrated development, utility type boards. So this is kind of, starts to get more hardcore with a lot more RAM, a lot more power processing, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's a little bit bigger than a Pi. If I've got a Pi, I've got a Pi on hand. Let's have a look. That's empty. That sounds like it might have a Pi in it. Let's just have a quick look. There's a Pi 4, which is on a standard form factor for size comparison. So yeah, it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting to play with. So we will do that in an official sponsored endorsed video. I just thought, as it was here and as we're all live, let's just take a quick look. Because I, honest to God, was not expecting it. So very, very interesting that it's shown up. So yeah, nice board as well. Very nice board. They always are, these products. And as I said, I was blown away with the X1. So we'll see what the R1 is like. And get it back in its packet. All you have to do is just pretend that you haven't seen me open this already. Oh, someone took right issue to my hang on. Let me pop this away first. I'll stop making noises. Going back in. Right. There we go. Yeah, somebody took a right issue to my review of the Raspberry Pi, not Raspberry Pi, what I'm talking about, Banana Pi M4 Zero, which was the zero form of the M4 Berry. And someone, oh no, took a right issue to that and sort of, again, I had to block them unfortunately, because they were sort of suggesting I don't do things, making suggestions basically that I do or don't do things, or accusing me of saying stuff which I didn't say, and I thought, no, I'm just not putting up with it. And a lot of it is generally sort of anti-Chinese sentiment, because the products come from China, and that's all it is. They don't care. It could be the greatest thing on earth, and because it's not from America or whatever, they blow their top. But yeah, no, that's going to be very, very interesting. Look forward to that. Right, so I did want to talk a little bit about. Hang on. Hello, I'm back. Right, I did want to talk a little bit about the request thing, because I know I talked about it last week, and I didn't change screens, so I was trying to show you stuff, and you were just looking at my gormless face rather than what I thought you were looking at. So I did make an attempt to find the link, and it's very frustrating because I haven't been able to, and I wasn't able to set that up before coming on there. If you just give me 2 ticks, I might be able to get that link together. I just want to share that with you again before we carry on this evening. So if you just bear with me, let's put you on hold and I'll be right back. Where are we? There we go. Right, just 2 ticks, be right back. Yeah, so basically it's not linked from the main page from the website that it's hosted on. And so let's try that. Oh, come on. There we go. Right, excellent. Yeah, it's not actually hosted directly as a link, which is annoying. And the forum, the RiskOS forums, where you'd normally get all of this stuff, has gone down this evening. And you can't get a certificate for it, which is like super annoying. But if I now attempt to break everything, which is very possible, let's just where are we? There we go. Okay. Now, hopefully you are now seeing what I wanted to show you last week. And yeah, I think that's working. Okay, so yeah, basically, Peter Hawkins, who's a good friend of mine, he maintains RPC emus. If you ever used the RiskOS or RiskPC emulator, which is the on Pi or Windows or whatever you run it on, he maintains it. And he has done this new image, 26-bit compatible RiskOS 5. Now, for those of you who don't know, RiskOS sort of split into two versions. There's version 3.7, which was the very last official Acorn build. There was version 4 and 6 that were kind of commercially spun off but are now dead. And there's version 5, which is the current sort of free one that you can run technically on the Pi, although Pi 5s can't run it and Pi 4s barely run it. The problem with the version 4 Raspberry Pi 5 is that it was only 32-bit compatible. A lot of the good retro software for the kind of post BBC Micro era, so the ARM era of Acorn, which is 26-bit, is ARM based and is 26-bit only. So you can't run 26-bit ARM applications natively on a 32-bit only Pi type thing. So most of the software didn't work unless you had emulators. What Peter's got here is a new ROM build from licensed open source, fully legitimate open sourced source code, and he's created a 26-bit compatible version of RISC OS 5. It basically means there is a new operating system ROM for legacy hardware, such as original Acorn RISC PC, A7000, A7000 Plus, and of course, as most people would have to run it through the emulator RPC EMU. Now, considering that Raspberry Pi 5 does not and cannot run RISC OS, your best option is to probably run this ROM now, because at least it means you can run RISC OS 5 that can natively run all the good stuff. So the Dooms, although Doom was ported forward, but things like Lemmings, Doom, Starfighter 3000, Wolfenstein, and all those other sort of good games, and that's just tip of the iceberg. A lot of games in the late 80s, early 90s got ported to Acorn RISC OS. So if you want kind of like the top end A grade stuff, because there was next to nothing post 95 for the platform. There's been a few forward ports to 32-bit, which you've probably seen me use on the channel. Anyway, this is the page you need to go to. I never pronounced this right. Martine, God knows how you pronounce that, .net, and /RO26. If he's watching, he's probably laughing now because it's another thing I can't say, but never mind. Let's post that in. Oh no, it's doing that damn thing again. I hate Edge browser. Try to, hang on. Absolutely ridiculous. Right. Let's see if that works. There we go. There's a link if you want to go and have a look at it. Now, the reason I'm going on about this again is, A, I think it's very interesting. I think it's probably worth a video in its own right. And B, I'm thinking that might be the perfect ROM image to try and use when I do my Acorn RISC PC rebuild, which is on the cards. I will get back to doing that. And I think it might be cool to run. Basically, it's a new operating system ROM for vintage hardware. So that's kind of why I'm sort of talking about it again. Plus, I just think it's really, really cool. So hopefully he'll have a buy me a coffee link, which he does. Let's just go back to RPCMU. He has one there. So basically you can tip him a little bit, and I would actually encourage you to do that because he does work very hard and he offers all this for free. And he doesn't make any money from it. So if other people do take his stuff and make money from it, he never sees a penny. So it's all legitimate as far as I'm aware. It's all free, legitimate, and well worth a look. So if you want to go and say hi and support Peter, if you feel like you want to use his stuff. Right. I'm glad that worked. You finally got to see what I was talking about. Let's talk a little bit then. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. It's amazing how you think, oh, I've got all this live stuff we can talk about, and then it's like, wow, all my planned stuff lasted all of 20 minutes. What are we going to do the rest of the time? What we are going to do the rest of the time is this. Let me just pop back on that camera. I'm running out of space tonight. Something I have now. This next thing I have generally been putting off. Very guilty of just putting this off and not doing it. And I need to do it because it's a bit bad of me not to. So I'm sitting in the car and getting a bit dusty. But this is the top PCB from Calypso the robot, which regulars on the channel will remember. And this is an Atlas class robot from my employer, Harper Adams University, and we use these. Normally they're on chassis, remote control off-road chassis. This one is not. It's lost its chassis, but basically I'm going to put it back on a chassis which I do now have, but it's going to be used as a test bed. And what I need to do is, these are meant to run with I've shown you this before. They're meant to run with Arduino, I can say properly, Arduino Mega boards that sit upside down and plug straight into the PCB. This PCB is a custom design by my colleague at the university. And one of the things we're talking about is migrating from 8-bit AVR architecture over to 32-bit ESP or ARMX Cortex M0 architecture. And so I've sort of started some development work. And the first thing to do is see, could we run on a cheaper board? So you might remember this board, which is from China, and it's the Arduino Mega Pro. So it's exactly the same as the standard Mega, but it's in a much compressed form factor. And what I wanted to do was to basically get this working with the Atlas robot. So I needed to build an adapter, basically from the pins, would be one of these. So what I've got so far is I took a plate, what do you call these, prototyping shield plates, which normally sit like this. We have used them before when we were doing the Project Rio first build, and they sit like that, and then you actually prototype on the board. What I've done is I've taken one of these and I've actually swapped some pins, desoldered and resoldered. You see, I've done some rework, cut some of the pins off to create basically an adapter that then sits onto the pins on the PCB. And what I want to do then is I have basically bridged two breadboards together, done a couple of solder points to attach the Pro board onto this. This I'm going to sit on here, and what I need to do is wire wrap all the individual pins from the bottom of this to each of the pins along here, which is the job that basically I've just been putting off because yeah, it's basically that's what we're going to do. So because if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, and it's for work development. So I hope everyone is cool with that this evening. We're obviously still going to chat while I do this, but that's basically what I'm going to do because I need to get it done. So it's an absolute pain to do, but yeah. So let's just bring up let's have a look. We need to, I'm just doing a search, so just bear with me. Arduino Mega 2560 pinout. I can share that with you. Just bear with me. There we go. So that's what I'm looking at the minute. Okay. So yeah, basically, where did that go? Oh, that's fun, isn't it? But a bit expensive, these things. Come on. That's why I use the clones. It's just a damn sight cheaper. Except that's what I want. I have no idea what that does. I'm just thinking there's a zoom function. Right. Yes, that's basically. I wish I could see that a bit clearer because even I can't read that. I do need to get my. Oh, we go. Zoom. That's what I want. That's what I want. Right, I can see that now. Hopefully you can as well. And we want the pin out for. We want the pin out for the Pro as well. Yep, looks suspiciously like that one. That's better. I can see that a bit clearer. Okay. So basically it's making all these pins match up with these pins. Yeah, easier said than done. Oh, what? What has that just done that for? It took too long to respond. Stupid thing. Stop that from doing anything then. Right, there we go. Not entirely comfortable with Windows 11, if I'm honest with you. I'm just struggling a little bit with it because I don't use it natively, so it's only when I'm live streaming with you that I suppose in at work we have it, but most of the time I'm a Mac user, so I'm slightly struggling with the functions. It's sort of not sitting as comfortably with me as, let's say, sort of like even a Windows 10. But oh well, that's just me. Right then, yeah, so let's just go back to, on camera, there we are. So the plan is to make the camera go all blurry. I just remembered something else I do want to talk about as well, so see if we get time on that. Oh, there we are. So yeah, I made a hell of a hack job. We don't, strictly speaking, need that in the board itself, so I can take the board off for the minute. Got that. Oh, I don't know if this is, I have no idea if this is going to work. It just, it's one of those, it seemed a really good idea at the time. Colleagues, project manager and all that were like, oh yes, you know, absolutely go for it. And I thought, okay, no one else wants to do it, and I kind of figured out why now. Also, check out my pull wire app, right, has been unwinding itself, and I untangled all this, and now it's an absolute mess again. And you sort of just get like this sort of, where are we, lump in the middle there, and it's like, just see if we can get that untangled quickly. Cut it all off, start again. Tempting, but no. Oh, it's hello to Michael. Hi, making it in late as normal. That's all right, Michael. Don't worry. We're entering the thrilling world of soldering this together. Do you want me to recap everything while everyone else groans, or are you all right? I will wish you a good evening. I appreciate it's afternoon where you are, sir, but I will wish you a good evening. And thank you for joining us. And by the way, is anyone else doing anything interesting? You can chat, you know. If you've got anything you'd like to say, you are more than welcome to. Anyone got anything interesting going on, or projects? Or I know if Martin's still on, I know Martin's got something kind of interesting happening. Like I say, just got home from a I'm going to say G-Kid's grandkid soccer game. No, I'll watch the beginning later. Okay. Previously on this live stream. Soccer, hey? As in what we would call football. Yeah. Nice. Did you have good weather for it? I'm hoping you did. Grandkid, yeah. That's good. The weather is turning again here, so it's been beautiful. It's been blooming cold, -6 degrees Celsius, but we had beautiful, you know, clear days, just frosty and icy. But now it's warmed up, so we're about 8 degrees Celsius. It's warmed up considerably. but we've got storms, so it's windy and everything's blasting around the place, and it's overcast and grey and you say no, not really, cold and windy. Sounds like I'm pretty much the same as we are then. Right. No, I don't want to do this. Motivation of the day. No, I've got to do it. Right. By the way, I need to order some more of these, because this is the one that's meant to be used in the next Rio prototype, and well, it's ended up -8. Okay, yep, you've had it colder than us. -8 centigrade. Yeah, well done. Thank you for translating that, because people say Fahrenheit. And I'm like, what? Don't work in Fahrenheit. Has to be centigrades. As far as I can't cope with it. Oh, by the way, I usually put plaster over that, but that's the latest little injury from work. And no, it didn't go in the accident book. It didn't go in the accident book. I thought I'm not, you know. Basically, I was under a table trying to sort out a PC, and these tables had these like metal runners underneath, and I just caught a sharp, they'd like angle grinded the edges, and I just caught a sharp, you know, untapped edge, and it just went straight through like that. And I was like, damn it, you know. No, it's not like the time I made liquid napalm in the workshop out of superheating hot melt glue. I got frustrated with the heat gun, you know, the glue guns for hot melt, stuff you get in like the little sticks. And I kind of got fed up, so I kind of used the soldering iron and superheated the damn thing to like 200 degrees C. And then sort of sticking it, and then went, oh, is it still yet? And then put my finger, it was like, ah! And of course I couldn't get it off, and it was like, yeah, that was probably one of the most stupidest things I've done at work to date. But you know, give it time. Did that go in the accident book? No, it didn't. It didn't go in the accident book either, because I was like, no, I'm not going to put in the accident book, I made napalm out of a soldering iron and hot melt glue sticks. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so we're going to use wire wrap, and we're going to basically we're going to wire the bottom pins of this. I've only tacked it into the board, and I'm not going to go through and, you know, we'll just tack solder onto the pins. We're going to go from the bottom of this one to the equivalent pin on here to make the adapter plate to fit in the robot. So for those of you just joining us, this is a project for work for Harper Adams University, and basically I'm making an adapter. So instead of having to use an Arduino Mega, we're going to use the Mega Pro, which is the same architecture on a much smaller board, but we need to make that fit in our existing robots, which are expecting this board. So I made this adapter out of a shield just by reversing the pins on the shield. I know I've just got to wire wrap between the two, so I thought while we're here live we can do this, and we can talk about some other stuff, or you can prompt me with anything you've got going on. As I said, Martin, if he's still, I don't know if he wants to talk about it or not, but I'll assume by the quietness, probably not. But Martin emailed me, messaged me actually. Had some quite interesting stuff going on in relation to what he's doing with Project Rio Tiny Basic. He's actually on one of the patrons for it, so let's figure out which pin is which. We want to go. Luckily, it is actually silk screened on here, so I can see what I'm doing. So let's just put the ground in first. Ground. Yeah, this is going to be horrible to do, and I just know it is going to be horrible. So, bit of flux. They don't use flux at work. They just seem to have amazing success with the soldering stations. But saying that, they've got proper industry soldering stations. Really, really nice stuff. Much better than the stuff we use here, which is kind of domestic-y rubbish that I bought. Because we are on a bit of a budget on this channel, unfortunately. So let's just make sure I put some flux everywhere, because why not? What's Martin saying? I've not done much with it yet, but we'll update you in a week or so. Okay, fair enough. So we will we'll say watch this space, because yeah, Martin's doing something very interesting, which I'm very interested to see. I've got the shakes. Which is annoying. I've got the shakes this evening, because I don't think I'm normally much better than that. I was actually doing soldering yesterday for a couple of final year students. They do 4 years, you see, on the degree, and one of them is like a permanent like placement. And these 4th years, they've done a placement, they're coming back. This is literally their final year of uni, and they're building mini version. That worked, didn't it? They're building. I might need to go and get my proper wire strippers, but let's just see if I can do it. There we go. They're doing they're doing like robot challenge, which I want to try and get this, I've been told to enter this into as well. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, yeah, whatever. But they kind of they're rushing it through. Basically, they're going, oh god, we've got to build a robot. They have a PCB which has been designed and created for them, and they have to populate it. They haven't designed the boards, but they do have to populate them. Is that going on there? Possibly. And they're all rushing it because they should have. They've got like a month or so, and not only do they have to build the damn, but design and build the buggy. They have to program it for this challenge out in what we call the soil hall, which is basically, if you ever watched that video I did on Channel 2 about the visit to Harper Adams, which was done before I worked there. They basically, I went in there, and it's that is the worst piece of soldering I've ever done. That's almost embarrassing. It's a giant indoor field which can be used for, you know, all sorts of different testing. It's called a soil hall, and you can do all kinds of testing in there. And the base of this sort of giant obstacle course has been set up. Why is this so much simpler? Okay. Watch me not solder. Get on there. Basically, they're a robot challenge, and they've got the robot has to navigate a course on its own. And yeah, they're all panicking. So basically, there was this team there, and they put the wrong capacitors in because they rushed it before Christmas, and they've never done any kind of like desoldering. That's better. They've never done any kind of like desoldering or anything before. So there's no way this is going to work, but we'll give it a best shot, because you never know, we might get lucky. Now we have to remember this board that we're facing that way, so it's reversed how you think it is. What's nice about this one is it's actually got the reference on the side, so we can probably just go reference to reference. Actually, probably get away with it. So we just need to basically go to ground. So ground to ground to adapt through. So this is going to be a bit of a mess, but we're going to go. Anyway, yeah, sorry. The point of my story was they put the wrong capacitors in, so they were like needing to take stuff out the board, desolder, and they're not particularly good at soldering, a lot of them. And so they're there, like, you know. And I was there working on stuff yesterday, and I said, "Do you want me to do it for you?" And they were, "Oh no, we've got it. I said, "Well, that's fine. If you've got it, great, go for it. Don't let me, you know, interfere." And when they actually pulled the component, they snapped the legs off it, nearly pulled the via straight through the PCB. And it was like, and that was only the first one. They did another 4 they had to take out. And they kind of gave up and said, would you do it, Tom? I was like, fine. So it took me 15 minutes, and I took it all out cleanly, used a solder pump, as I would here. Took them all out cleanly, and saved them a lot of bother. So yeah, that's my good deed for the day done. It's too much on that. I need to, because we have a lot of wires here, so I need to make sure the connections. Let's try that. There we go. God knows if this is going to work. I've done one, and I'm in serious doubts right now. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Basically, I've been asked to do something, get my robot ready for the challenge as well. It's not really fair because I'm on a completely different. They're all on Arduino Unos, so at Mega 328P for their buggies, where I'm on a Mega chip. So it's still the AVR 8-bit architecture. Yeah, and also, I mean, they've got a lot more time. I haven't got the time because I'm busy on other projects, academic research projects, that kind of thing. So yeah, not sure basically if we're going to get around to doing that, but I've got until March. So basically, I've got about a month realistically to see if I can get something together. But I can't get anywhere until I've got this working, which is why I'm on this tonight. So. Vin. So we've got 5 volts one side, Vin the other side. But no, Martin, it'll be very, very interesting. As I said, you do what you've got. We'll have a look at that, especially if you've got anything to send me. Speaking of which, I don't know if Gertmon is on tonight, but we've got Gertmon's PCBs to look at, and I promised him we would do that because it's really generally interesting. No idea why I've got the shakes tonight. Oh, there we are. Speaking of the devil, there he is. Good evening to you, Gertmon. How are you? Yeah, just saying, we're going to do, I keep promising, but we are absolutely 100% going to be doing these Kim 1 boards as well that you sent me, because I think that'll be very, very interesting. And I'm looking forward to that project. I think that's going to be really cool. I'm not just saying that either. I genuinely think that's going to be cool. So, ground there. Where's Vin? Vin is... We also need to make sure we ground across, because see how we've got ground on both sides. So, yeah, so we're going to Vin. There is no way I'm not going to do this and make a mistake. You know when you have that much confidence with yourself, you're just like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to look terrible. I'm going to present this to work and they're going to be like, what on earth have you done? But I suppose it's very lucky, it's very cool that I'm actually able to do this stuff for work, Exactly the same boards and the same stuff that we do here at home on the channel. Yeah, do you know what? I should strip the wires because it makes a mess otherwise, but you know what? Sometimes just sod it. That's just so that's Vin. Ground 5 volts, so we'll go in on 5 volts. Just check that's yeah. I might just strip those because that's going to be a bit easier. I am thinking about what we're going to do next. So we need to get back to Tiny Basic Computers, and I need to order some parts so we can. I'm actually thinking about doing a Sinclair ZX81 project, because I have one that was donated to me by a good friend of mine, Simon Pyatt, a fellow academic from Birmingham University, and he gave me one. And I bought some bits like new membrane and a RAM pack for it. Might have mentioned this before. And I've even got some software for it. And we've not done anything with it because I've been busy. So I'm wondering if that might be something we do here on 8 Till Late as another project. So actually look at some 8-bit, general 8-bit vintage machines, possibly. If anyone has any suggestions for anything, do feel free to let me know if there's anything you particularly like to see me do or not do. As soon as we've got this Atari 400 mini thing, when it arrives, that's going to take up a couple of videos. Looking forward to that, actually. Yeah, something like that. Again, I said this is absolutely tedious, but I have to do it. So let's get this done live on the stream. Yeah. That's a nice thing about 8 Till 8. It doesn't have to be the most entertaining stream in the world. Which is fine. I'm quite happy with that. It's just nice to have the freedom to kind of like do the things that I generally want to do. Just taking another feed of ground off. Trying to get my head in the way when I do this so you can see. A pair of pliers because that's going to get hot very quickly. Oh, I've still got the shakes. Why have I got the shakes? More tea needed. Actually, might be less tea needed. Who knows? Do you want to give us an update on the puppies or the dogs, Martin? Because I know that was a thing. How's all that going? My dog ended up having an emergency trip to the vets. She ate, yeah, basically, you know those dog balls you get? The ones that light up so you can throw them at night and they light up and the dog's his wears and use his wears, etc, etc. Somebody, aka my dog, decided it would be a brilliant idea to break one up. Bear in mind, this is a proper dog toy to go in the dog's mouth, as you'd expect. Broke one, what am I doing? Hang on. Broke one up and then decided to eat the batteries, the little button batteries. Total disaster. So Anna rang me at work, you know, quite distressed, as you'd imagine. Rushed the dog to the emergency vets, which she was given a shot. I think it was morphine she was given. The dog, that is. And to sort of regurgitate everything. No batteries were found. We did find batteries later on, so she hadn't eaten them. Regurgitated a whole sock, which we didn't even know she'd eaten. And then I had a dog that evening that was high as a kite, sort of chasing the pink elephant. And it's just like, I was just like, why is this even a thing? You know. So yeah, that was luckily we've got insurance for the dog, so made a claim on that because that was a couple of £100 just for, you know, but yeah, It's the only kind of health insurance that we kind of need, really, because we don't need, health insurance for ourselves, because it's healthcare it's not perfect healthcare by any stretch of imagination, but healthcare is free here in the UK. You don't need insurance, but animals, that's all private healthcare. So you do need insurance, and yeah, we do have insurance for our dog. And yeah, made a claim. I'm making a right mess of this now. Made a claim, as you might expect. So get on there, come on. It's annoying me now. Pleased to say dog is absolutely fine, so and fortunately insurance have paid up, so we had to pay for it initially, and then insurance have paid us back, so thank goodness. But yeah, so Martin, they are crazy as expected, getting bigger. Yeah, puppies would. I know Bella was like that. And get them on my lab destroys most doggy toys. Yeah, we're having this with Bella because Bella is her mother is a Labrador, and her father is a German Shepherd or Alsatian. So she is a big girl. We did meet both parents when we bought her. So yeah, first time personally I've ever had a puppy, because the dogs we've always had in the family have always been rehome rescue dogs. They come from dogs' homes, and we've always had them, second hand. You know what I mean? So Bella was the first time of me ever having a puppy. Not for Anna. Anna's had puppies before, but yeah. I mean, she's getting there. She's calmed down a little bit. It's much better than the chaos last year, but yeah. Right. So you can also see, by the way, all the work I've done changing over to adapt this to be an adapter as opposed to just a hat. But yeah, no, I've got Bella demolishing a lot of things. Some toys really good, dog toys she hasn't got through them, but other stuff just completely in bits. And it's like, this is designed for a dog, and you've digested half of it. It's just like, yeah, trials and tribulations. I just wondered how you were getting on, because I sympathise with the damage to the property, the chewed skirting boards, the presents left. When we first had her, she was running around the house and she kept getting upstairs. I came in this room, the workroom / studio for Wi-Fi Chic, and somebody, aka the dog, obviously, had left me a nice stinky present right in the middle of the floor, and I was like, in here, and I was like, are you kidding me? So she's not allowed upstairs. So she's now trained. How can I put this? We haven't had accidents in quite a while now, so I think we're over that. But yeah, are you over that yet? Are they doing stuff outside, Martin, or are you still cleaning up in the house? Was that that is something that's going to stay with me. Put it that way. We need to do the 3.3 volt now line, don't we? I always do 3.3 volt in orange, basically. So red is VIN and 5 volt lines. So VIN is actually input voltage, which can be anything up to 9 volts on these. Red, so I put that as red, but it should be something else, or it should be purple. But 5 volts ground. So we're just basically just blocking in the voltages as we go. So yeah, so we'll do that one next, which is, and just check. Yep, both are 3 volt. important to have the sponge so we can clean up the... I have actually got a new soldering iron, so which I need to use at some point. But I sort of just, you know, when it's like you buy something new and it's probably, it might be better than what I've got, and you just think, nah, I'll carry on what I got, just because, you know, stubborn reasons which make no sense at all. It's kind of one of those scenarios. So just take that off. Oh, and I still get told off for not using the extractors at work. The problem is, you know, you're in a kind of a health and safety conscious. Why have I got the shakes tonight? Seriously, I'm never this shaky. It's not like I'm, you know, don't feel particularly nervous. Just know anyone watching this will go, yeah, you can't solder. Every effing time I do soldering on YouTube. And I'm like, yeah, fine, okay, I can't solder. Big whoop. Clever. Come on, get there. Hang on there. If I get this done by the time we're finished tonight, I will be amazed. Right, we're on. Oop, don't do that. What we've got in the chat. So, where are we? Come on. I've had a few rescues. They've all had issues. I decided I'd done my bit first, for the rescue community, and got a puppy this time. He's 1.5 years old now. Of course, you've got a puppy, haven't you, Gertman? I forgot that. I think you've told me that before. Well, no, for some reason, all I can remember is Martin's puppy. But and he's saying, Martin, by the way, Martin is saying they're all really good. Just the odd wee. They'll settle down. Yeah, they will. I'll settle that. Yeah, they will. Bella was like that. I was like, there's no way in how this dog is gonna stop, you know, doing the terrible things that she's doing. And I was like, what have we done? And I was having, you know, major thoughts on that, and I was just like, no, god damn it, what have we done, etc, etc, etc. And voltage, ground, 5 volts, 3 volts. Yeah, it's confusing when there's pins on this that aren't actually marked, but right, so that's our 3 volt line. But no, absolutely, they'll settle down. I mean, Bella's still terrible, but we're getting there. Alright, that's that. Reset, which is the last one we need to do. But yeah, I'll get one of these boards ordered in, because I mean, work sort of pays me back, if you like. I mean, I'm not doing this at the expense. I do get this stuff back, but it's just like now I don't have the stuff because I'm pulling stuff up my own. Let's check the reset. So reset is in a different place here. So, oh, I see. Okay, so reset is just one pin. One pin on this side. This is, yeah, this is really, really taxing to get this right. So, not a job for the faint-hearted, this at all, I tell you. If you're just starting out, do something simpler than this, I tell you. Go on. There we go. That should be reset. Basically just giving myself plenty of lead wire on this, just so we make sure I can move the boards around. It's not going to be pretty, but it, you know, it'll do the job, it'll work, hopefully. I think as long as I've got the voltages in the right place and the reset vector's correct, or reset line rather, is correct, I think we'll get away with it. Okay, so we'll just sort of sit it like that, you see, when we're done. So voltages are in, reset line is in, RX and TX are next. Which is the Youyeetoo serial, and that's kind of hypercritical. Take a break in a minute because one, I need a cup of tea, and two, something else I want to show you all actually, which you may have seen. If you follow the BBC News website at all, it's been on a number of other news stuff as well, but it's something I want to show you because I think it's kind of cool. Let's just get this. I just want to get this Youyeetoo on first. So. I am so shaky tonight. It's blooming ridiculous. Why I'm so shouldn't be so shaky, but I just am. Don't know what it is. Good enough. So outer one is TX. TX1 is TX0 should be. Got them here as TX3 to TX1, TX0, so they're there. So that should be 0 to 0. You see them there. So they're actually all the way over on this side. Okay, it's that one there then. done all right. Green will go the other side. And yeah, it's just a case of using plenty of flux. It's also a case of remembering it's not TX to RX, RX to TX, because this is just a straight through adapter. Come on. Is that on? Yeah, seems to be on. Then of course I've got the fun of checking these are actual making connections, which is going to be amazing. Come on, just saying flux is your friend. I know, tell me about it. We don't use it at work. It's astonishing. I was like, where's the flux? We don't use it. So what? So I mean, this was, I said, this board was out of work. That's my own. That was out of a bin at work. I showed you that board the other day. Right, so they're on. Basically, the point I was trying to make before is once we've got the voltages and the grounds in and nothing's shorting on those, you can't do too much damage because everything runs on a 5-volt TTR logic level. So even if something's not correctly wired, it's not going to damage the board. As long as what would damage the board is obviously if you put 5 volts or worse 7 volts or whatever on the 5-volt rail or a 3-volt rail, that would cause problems. But yeah, we're not going to break things, but we'll do a test obviously with this. So that is now on. Excellent. It's just a case of just working along, connecting everything up. I think another, just check how many people actually left. Oh, that was a few of you. There's a few of you this evening. Good evening to you. Welcome. Hope you're well. Yeah, so I need to basically got to get this project done. There's nothing else I can say about it. You know, I need to do this evening. So I'm going to make a fresh brew because I'm running out. There we are. I don't know why. I don't know if it's, I'm not normally that shaky, so I don't know if it's because I'm kind of like, I'll just show you. If I'm just like, because I'm hanging off the edge of the table, you see, so I just wonder if that's making me a bit shaky, whereas if I was more like that, that might work a bit better. So yeah, possibly something like that might be the issue. Not sure. Ooh. Let's get that. Oh, that's great. I've just knocked it all out of focus. There we go. Something like that. Right. So I'm going to make a fresh cup of tea, and yeah, and then I want to show you something. Another brief talking point. As soon as I've done that, we'll get back to doing this, and that will probably make up this evening quite quickly. So should we say 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. If I can find, where's my back soon card? There we are. Right, yeah, 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Right, good evening. Welcome back to 8 Till Late live here on youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep with me, Tom, and we were just on a fresh brew tea break. So huge thank you to all of you that have stuck around while I went and made a fresh cup of tea. And a few of you did. A few of you did. Very much appreciate those of you that have stuck around. Yeah, right. So before we carry on with the project, which, by the way, we're going to be with you probably for another hour, up till about 22:30 GMT. So yeah, the project we're working on is this, which is an adapter board. So I'm creating a board that adapts something from a standard Arduino Mega 2560, and I have, that's a standard one, and I have this, which is the Pro version, and I need to adapt the Pro version back to, through this hat board, which I've adapted, is going to be the adapter to adapt it back to the standard for use in a robot that has the pins basically for the standard design. So that's what we're doing. If you just hold there a moment, this is how prepared I am this evening. Just bear with me. This came up, it's on BBC News the other day. I'm not sure about the copyright on this, so we'll give this a shot, but I may just show you the one image. Right, so I'm going to dump a link. Yep, so I'll dump a link in chat. Now, if you're outside the UK, this may take you to the commercial bbc.com site. This is the .co.uk, which is for UK domestic license fee payers only. Yes, if you're outside the UK and you're not from Europe, you may be shocked to hear that we have to pay a television license. It is illegal. It is illegal in the UK to own a television set that's capable of picking up live over the air, or however you receive your TV, live broadcasts, without a television license, which is, how much is it now? £170 a year, I think it is, something like that. Every year you have to pay, and it's compulsory, and it's a criminal offence to watch live broadcast television, even on the internet, if you do not own or have a television license. So, and that's the reason why that BBC commercial operations are different to what we see in the UK. Anyway, I'm not going down that road. I'm just saying it's a thing. This is the site. This is BBC News. The international version looked very similar to this. And it's this, which is new photographs have been released from... it's actually, well, it's GCHQ, the British intelligence agency listening post, and pictures of the Colossus systems. And this particular picture, now Colossus, if you don't know, was the secret government code-breaking computer from the Second World War. It's confusingly associated with Alan Turing, and Alan Turing did not do Colossus, so there's always been a bit of miscommunication there. Colossus was around the same time, but it was a slightly later machine, and it was actually operated, they had several Colossus were built, and versions of them were operated right into the 70s. This photograph showed up, which you think, hang on, is that a wartime? The BBC article make it look like it's a wartime photograph from the Second World War, and I think that room just looks far too modern, and the setup of the machine looks far too modern for it to be in the huts at Bletchley Park. So I think that's a declassified picture of a Colossus code-breaking machine, possibly from the very last years of use, which would have been the late 60s. But absolutely fascinating. I'm not going to show you the rest of the article because this is Crown copyright, so I don't know what legality of sharing that with you is. But go and have a look, because I just found that really, really interesting. So do go and have a look at the link, see what you think. Just because I've seen the Colossus at the wrong museum, at the National Museum of Computing. That's right. Been there a few times. They have a version of My Tiny Basic Systems there as well. So they actually have, and they use it for STEM workshops. They bought a package of Tiny Basic computers, breadboard computers from me. So it's actually quite cool that a Wi-Fi sheet project is in the National Computer Museum at Bletchley Park, alongside these famous early digital computers and code breaking machines like Bomb, which was Alan Turing's machine, and Colossus, or their rebuild of Colossus is there, along with a few others like the Decatron machine, or Witch as it was known, the Wolverhampton University computer system, and as well as rooms full of BBC micros that you can play with, and Wi-Fi sheet Wi-Fi sheet Tiny Basic computer systems are in there as well. So that's kind of cool. That is something I did, and I still think it's amazing we did it. Anyway, going off on a tangent. Go and have a look at that if you're interested. Let's get back to this. So we've just put the UART in, and it's D2, D3 is the next one. I know the painfully boring things that we have to do. But as hobbyists, especially computing hobbyists, it's not so bad for me because, as I said, this is, it's work. So, I am or will be paid for this. It's just I'm conscious about the time, so hence why I'm, let's do it on a live stream. D2. D2. Should we make blue? Let's go blue for D2. Trying not to get my head in the way either. So just because I'm curious, for those of you that are still with me on the live stream, we know what Martin's up to. Well, I know what Martin's up to, and I'll wait for Martin to announce that, or when he wants to talk about it, which is fair enough. What's anyone else up to in relation to hobbies, or mainly computing, electronics hobby, kind of this sort of thing? Anyone? What are people up to at the moment? I'm just curious. Anyone want to share anything in the chat? Feel free. I'm all ears, even if I can't solder for toffee. Can you imagine the comments are going to be on this video on the playback? For those of you that are going to watch it on playback, can be like, "What on earth are you doing tonight?" Just imagine it. I should have stripped away. Now, what it'll be half a ton of comments going, "Hey, you can't solder." It always is, every time. And yeah, this is not a masterclass in soldering. This is a masterclass in just getting stuff done. I'm still waiting, by the way, for confirmation on show dates. I don't know when I'm doing or what I'm doing. I'd like to do something, but we can wait. Oh, here we are. This is Michael. So I'm just monkeying around with my 3D printer. 3D printer. Excellent. That's been in the basement for over a year, waiting for a few warm days to go back in the garage, work with my CNC. CNC. Yes, did you mention CNC before? I have ringing a bell as if you've talked about it before. But yeah, 3D printer. What 3D printer have you got? Just out of curiosity. Is it a homebrew or is it off the shelf? Just because I'm being nosy now. I'll tell you a 3D print story in a minute if you want. from literally the other day. This is now the most stupid soldering angle. Get in there. There we go. There we go. Right, D2 connected. Yeah. Just give that a pull, and if it doesn't come off, you know you're all right. There we are. So I bought a. So I nearly read that as I bought a cheap then. Creality CR10S back in 2018. Still prints like a champ, a few upgrades, but nothing that spectacular. Yeah, it's a bit like my this is a bit embarrassing because it's full of junk. Well, I say junk, it's full of things I've had to move out of the way quick, but that's my Flashforge Finder machine. We'll just ignore the dust. Full of boards, bits. It's not as bad. You put stuff there when you're not using it, and for some random reason, a Hornby model railway wagon, which is in there for some reason. But yeah, no, this machine, Flashforge Finder, tell a lie, not the first 3D printer, but I've had this a few years, ran it into the ground. You've probably seen it used a few times on a couple of videos where we need some bits, and it's been really good actually. It's done over 1,000 hours runtime now. But it sits here in the workshop, occasionally gets some use. It's not the only machine I have. I have a Dreamer as well, but basically I've gone down the Flashforge route. And as it turned out, too far. There we are. As it turned out, so is work. Workers bought some. We've got some industrial machines and like resin printers and 3D printers that could do like metal parts. But they actually bought a fleet of Creator 2 domestic Flashforge machines, which I thought brilliant because I've got the drivers, the software, the slicers to make those work. And yeah, no, it's really, really good. So the other day I was in my colleague's office, because I don't have an office at work, so they're very kindly, the staff offices, they have their own desk, and they have like a separate desk in their office that has like a round table desk for meeting. Which is normally empty, and each room has its own little meeting desk so you can have like 4 or 5 chairs around it. And basically my colleague very kindly lets me, I've got a key for his office, and he lets me camp out basically in his office, so I sort of use it as my unofficial office as well. Anyway, so I was working in there, and some back to the fourth year students came in, and literally this is about 4 o'clock in the evening, and they needed this part, and the students are always like really late giving us anything. I said, oh, can anyone 3D print this? I've exported it out, got the CAD, done it as a STL file, which is the 3D print format. And I literally turned around and said, yes, I can do it. Email me the file, which they did, and I had my MacBook, the MacBook that normally sits here when it used to drive the show before we switched on to the X1. And I had the MacBook with me, and I was able to slice. I had the Flashforge slicer on it, and I sliced it up for them. Got the USB stick out of the Creator, which is in the top. Our workshops are like lab workshops, are on like 2 stories. There's like gantry layers. It's a really cool space to work in. But basically, all the 3D printers are on like this gantry layer that overlooks the rest of the shop. So I found the data stick and got that sorted. The machine was a nightmare to get going. First time I'd used the Flashforge machines. They're new to the uni, but first time I'd used them, it was a bugger to get going. It wouldn't level itself. I had to like manually level it, and every time I was telling the students, they're watching me, I was like, right, don't do this. As I put my hand into the working machine, I was like, don't do that. Don't touch the molten filament as I was pulling it out with my hands. I was just like, yeah, don't do all this. Got that working for them. Over 2 hours to print. They all went off to the pub. I was there until 6, so we normally finish work about it's not a given, but we normally finish about 1700 5 p.m. 1700 hours, and I was there until gone 6 that evening, making sure this block was finished for them. And yeah, so anyway, they got that, and it was a mount to sit on top of a tractor, like a John Deere tractor on the bonnet, and then they had like a camera that sat on top of that. So they were very, very pleased. It was a cool bit of CAD. The CAD they did was a beautiful job. It went through the slicer, no problem, no errors or anything like that. So, but I just, they sort of, they show up, we need this part for 2 hours time, and the print time's like 3.5 hours on it, even in like draft PLA quality. And I was just like, oh, for God's sake. It's... Be a little more organised, student people, with your time. Because us technicians and engineers are doing our best for you. But this is where I sound like an old man. I'm just like, no, you've got to be better with your time management. And sort of, we're trying to work miracles for you. But, anyway, they are a good bunch, don't get me wrong. But it's just, it's youth. Something that I don't feel I am anymore. Many of you will say, no, Tom, you are. And I am. I've been talking about this before. Being, 36, I am young in the retro computing world. But, yeah, I am, getting there. Anyway, right, where are we? What was I doing? Something. So let's... I've got another colour we haven't used yet. Running out of colours. Blue, let's try. I won't put the yellow yet. If we do a yellow. I'm just trying to, where I can, sort of stagger the colours where possible. I mean, I'm going to have to reuse colours, obviously, but we can just try and keep roughly everything away from everything else. It helps. I'm going to say sod it, and I'm going to cut this one just to get the pin on. I bought another bottle of this Flux the other day, so Martin said, your students should be thankful you enjoy doing their work. Yeah. Yeah, true. Never really thought of it like that. Yeah, they're all right. I mean, some of them, one or two of them, and get them on O to be 36 again. I know. Well, I'm like, oh, right. The thing is, right, you've got to understand, some of my colleagues, right, there's not students, these are employed colleagues, are in their 20s at that unit. And I am not, in the early 20s at that, and I am absolutely definitely not anymore. Can I put Flux on there? And the students, right, you look at them, you're like, they're coming in, especially those first years, they're coming in aged 18 when they started last year, right? 18 means their birth date was 2005. And you're like, what? It's just like, yeah, it's always a bit of a shock. Oh, excuse me. Just burp on camera. I should, yeah. For my age, reverse your age. 63, yeah. What was the Beatles song? When I'm 64, isn't it? Yeah. Nearly. You're nearly there, Gertman. No, everyone is always quite amazed, especially the 8-bits, and then like you have genuine. See, a lot of the younger YouTubers and stuff, when they pick up, I'm guilty of this as well, so this isn't in any way a complaint, but they're actually a lot of them sort of, those who weren't there or very young back in the day kind of thing, they pick up computer systems and they have no nostalgia or kind of use case for it. What I can absolutely say is, as many of you know, especially the BBC Micro, I used those in anger, if you like, back in the day. Yes, I was an angry school child, but yeah, we actually used those because that's all we had. And this was the 90s. And they were a relic when we used them. But that's why I have that genuine fondness for the BBC Micro, because we did actually use them as computers in school, because that's all we had. We didn't have PCs. That's 3 on. This is taking forever, isn't it? Oh God, right. D3, D2. Not happy with that at all, but it's on. I've got a feeling I'm going to be redoing most of these, D4 is next. You do realise we'll still be doing this next week. Tune in same time next week when I do D5, D6 and D7. It just takes so long to do. And you start creating this sort of spaghetti of wiring and you're thinking, what are we doing? But no, just to case on the point what I was saying, yeah, most of the students, they're fine, they're good, but some of them, you do privately wonder. It's like, why are you even here, kind of thing. You can't say that, obviously. You have to be supportive to everybody, and I absolutely am. But at the same time, it's like you don't seem to have the kind of, I can't check which one that is. You don't seem to have the attitude, the correct. That's D2, 4, D5. Let's get this right. The attitude isn't right, and especially sort of there is an element of laziness, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how efficiently I worked when I was a student. I don't think it was that brilliant, in all honesty. So you kind of get it. It's just, it's youth, it's experience. It comes from maturity, basically. But at the same time, you're sort of thinking, especially now. I mean, I haven't heart to tell them that they're right. My entire degree, I did 3-year degree, right? My entire degree cost less than 1 year of their degree now. Right, my entire degree is about £9,000, give or take. 1 year now is about £9,500 per year. They do 4 years, so you can work that out. It's a lot of money. Admittedly, most of them have it on loan, and the student loans. I mean, mine's on student loan, but which is different to like commercial credit loan or debt or anything. So it's not gonna. It doesn't ruin you in the same way, and it gets written off. But you're just thinking, even if it's not directly costing you right now, you'd think you'd want to make a bit more of an effort with it. But hey, what do I know? Not a lot, it would seem. So, but no, I mean, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. A lot of them are very, very, very good, very professional, very focused, and are going to go on to do some absolutely amazing things. I've no doubt about that. Just use something else. Where are we? Wish I'd been more interested at your age. I was an electrical engineer in a power station, but never really got into the hobby, electronics and computers, until I retired. But I always dabbled. Well, it's a weird one for me because this, you know, you get people who always say, "Oh, you know, Tom, you're an expert," and I'm thinking, I'm not an expert. Really, am not an expert, and I didn't choose to do this. It wasn't my first port of call. I mean, I trained. You're going to roll your eyes because everyone does, but I was doing sort of the media-based academic courses with an interest in television and radio, both engineering but also production, sort of making of content, which is kind of why Wi-Fi Sheep sort of operates the way it does and has sort of the graphics and the look and the feel, because I sort of tried, that's my media training and background, sort of coming in, but I just couldn't find work in it. And in hindsight you could say, yeah, well, it's bloody obvious, isn't it, that you're not going to, but back then you're kind of filled with this idea, and you're lied to effectively. You're told, oh yes, you'll get this and you'll get that. That's one thing I like about Harper Adams, is the fact is those students do actually have real skills and go on to real industry, and a lot of them do, and there's actually placements they do, and there's jobs offered to them, so they have jobs to go to, if you like. And I'm not just talking sort of burger flipping, I'm talking proper engineering jobs off the back of their courses. So, and that was very, very refreshing to see, unlike my uni where we were just fed to the wolves and left on benefits and unemployment and all that at the end. Yeah, this is going to be dodgy getting this done, I tell you. So that's D4. But yeah, I mean, I've always had an interest in computing. I remember vivid memory from primary school, again with the BBC Micros, when we first got some of the, well, I say early, there were 386, 486, I think they were 486s, I think. Windows 3.1 computers. Only a couple, you understand, so that's why the BBC Micros carried on. But I vividly remember, thinking at the age of 8, I was like, I want to make my own computers, as you do back then. And we kind of got there with Tiny Basic Computers in the end. But yeah, it was, you could almost say that Project Rio, especially this sort of the Rio graphical user interface, isn't a million miles off what I was sort of envisioning, kind of like as a child. A lot of this is kind of childhood ideas, if you like. Making a right mess of this evening. Why is it a bit long? Cut that a bit shorter. So it's kind of nice, really, to sort of almost play catch up as an adult and do some of the things that I honestly wanted to do, as a child. Just obviously no way of doing it. I didn't come from an electronics background. My parents, fathers, didn't do. I mean, I was taught how to solder, and we did a little bit of model trains and stuff with my dad when I was little, but a lot of the skill set I've done, it's just been by watching other people online and reading up on stuff, and obviously launching this channel and seeing kind of where we got to. Yeah, I knew this was going to be. Oh, right. D4. D4 to... This is a nightmare. Absolute nightmare tonight. Oh, don't tell me I've got those the wrong way around. hang on. D4. 0, so it'll be 5 in. 1, 2, 3. No, we're right. We're okay. And D5, which is blue. D5 is blue. Yeah, no, we're okay. We're fine. Panic over. So they will get one of these wrong. It's just annoying. It's not the end of the world, I said, because as long as it's not the voltages or you're not putting 5 volts on the ground, if you get pins drawing around, it might mess things up, but it's not going to damage anything. Well, it shouldn't damage anything anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so the plan is, obviously, I'm just going to sort of, it's going to look a bit scruffy, but I'm going to try and get all the cables just to kind of sit in there, and we'll just tap that on top, so it just creates all the wire wrap will go in the middle, and then that'll be the unit, basically. So I only got another, 1,000,001 pins to do. It's fine. D6 we'll do next then. We'll carry on for another just under half an hour, 25 minutes, and then we'll probably I should probably just tin these really. Call it tonight. Get more just saying, definitely have been into electronics if it had been like it is now when I was younger. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do stuff like that, or like this. I honestly wanted to do stuff like this, and there was just no way of getting that knowledge. There wasn't STEM, I didn't grow up in the computer literacy era of the 80s. I was too young for that. The BBC micros that we had were, as I've said this multiple times, to the point of tedium for most of you, were used as word processors. So we weren't taught how to program them. I found the one book in the school library that hadn't been destroyed, which basically was about how to program the BBC Micro, and it was amazing to suddenly think I could program the computers that we had in school, and that was such a huge eye-opener for me, and why I really, really like BASIC, because it was like I learned how to write BASIC myself from this one book. This is before the internet, and so we had BBC Micros. We were never taught officially how to program, because we were the generation that were meant to use Microsoft Office, and we would never need to program anything. Don't worry about that. Software encoding that scares you. The skirt one. Hardware is the same, only. You're having a go. You're having a go at Project. You're on Project Rio, aren't you? I think you're on that tier. You're probably waiting for me to get back to doing more on that. We need to finish off the series, don't we? Which I haven't done. Just making a ton of mess here. I'm just tinning these because I'd probably just make life easier for myself. And I've just bridged one, which is good. Yeah, it helps if you don't bridge your damn solder joints. What was I saying? Oh yes, I can solder. Just bridge the damn thing. Come on, get off there. I will catch up in the chat in a second when I finish having a making more disasters for myself. Isn't it nice when you can edit things and it makes yourself look so much better when you do it live? It's like when we did that. There we are. Horrible cheap plastic one. It'll do. It's like when I did that video. There we go. That's cleared. I think that's cleared it. God, this iron's getting hot to hold. There we go. Right, one more. Okay. Right, where are we in the chat? Sorry about that. Right. This is Michael. Right, I've been fortunate to do the things I did. I started my electronics learning working on. Oh, that's right. You did missiles, didn't you? Yes. Blimmin' heck, that's right. I remember now. Tube theory, electron chasing. Always had a computer for my kids too. I'll be honest with you, Michael. Someone might correct me here, but basically North America, especially during that time in the 80s, especially late 70s, 80s, computers were more readily available and were a little bit cheaper than they were for Europe and the UK. Plus the fact North America, you generally had better wages. You were paid more, things cost less at that time. So that's kind of why, I mean, we didn't have a computer. God, when did we have a computer? At home, 95, I think we had a computer. And it was a Macintosh Performer 630, beige box floppy disk loading machine, System 7. Yeah, so we just didn't have that exposure. Paulo is saying, my school used to Boost Micro to get us playing educational games rather than learning micro. Yeah, I mean, our school didn't even do that. It was literally, I did a video on it, the word processor, a stylus, which was a really basic infant type word processor for like early years, and that's literally what we used. Get one back saying yes, the soldering etc. It's okay. The programming side that feels really dread. There's nothing wrong with the I mean, I'm not really a programmer, but you know, I've managed to sort of get tiny basic project running in C. I sit there going, I don't know what I'm doing, and most of it I've been helped actually by the name's gone. Scott Julian from AlphaWorks in Australia, who I met. He came over and I met him in Weatherspoon's pub here in Shrewsbury. In the summer, so he actually came over from Australia. We had the meeting to talk about things, which is quite nice. And Getmod saying, my fault buys may be why I didn't have much time. We're all getting into gaming more on consoles. Yeah, that's one thing actually. Most people had, you know, not so much. Well, they did have NES, but Sega Genesis was huge at that sort of time, and not Genesis, sorry, it's Mega Drive. Same system, it's called Sega Mega Drive here. And SNES. And then when the PlayStation came out, everybody went over to PlayStation and worshipped it like it was a god. I didn't, unfortunately, but that's another story for another day. Michael saying, I believe you, I had a Commodore 64 from the early 80s and the IBM clone after that. Yeah, well, both IBMs and Commodore did very, very well here. Actually, Atari stuff did very well here. We didn't have a computer. Well, we had a computer crash in '83. We didn't have a video game crash, not the same way as you did in North America. And obviously, we had our own, you know, domestic machines, as you well know. The Sinclair, which went over there as Timex to America. BBC Micro that I'm talking about, which did have an American export version, but it wasn't very popular because it was extremely expensive by North American standards. Right, okay, so we've just done that. like I say, my three sons are computer employed. Two work as network administrators, and the third works as a programmer for a medical corporation. Yeah, and that was the difference, and that's why the British, with the exception of perhaps ARM and let's say Raspberry Pi Foundation, the British computer industry evaporated. You know, Acorn was probably one of the last bastions, and that collapsed. And that's why we use, you know, Microsoft, Windows, Apple, basically American computer companies. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm not being, you know, ultra nationalist or anything. But that's why we don't have much in the way of a kind of like a British computer industry. We have a very buoyant game industry here. I'd say most, you know, even Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar, technically a British company. I don't know how much development's done in the UK anymore, but it's just business, isn't it? And obviously IBM made total sense. So what are we doing? D6. There's no point trying to have sort of, you know, getting nationalist about things. It'd be nice if we'd had a sort of a British system, but we kind of still do, I guess. That's why I was kind of with the Risk OS scene for quite a long time, but it's kind of gone dead, unfortunately. And I think, I mean, Raspberry Pi has been the real success story, you could say. And yes, as you well know, I am a critic of Pi at times, but you know, I give them their due. Yeah, it's not Microsoft Windows. Yes, I was just saying now you get really took off here and aren't burdened with tax and VATs from import. Yeah. That's basically it. And that's why the Apple II wasn't particularly successful here. I've said that before. I mean, there was the Apple II had a number of issues working in Europe anyway. Basically, it couldn't. If you imported like an Apple II from America, I'm talking the 1977, 78 Apple IIs, they couldn't display color because they used a trick with, I've said this before, with NTSC, which is basically the North American color standard. If you display black and white colors in certain orders, you can generate, black and white blocks in certain orders on the screen, you can generate colors because of a fault in the way the NTSC color system works. That doesn't work over here with PAL. So basically Apple II was a black and white machine. You could just generate patterns on it. You couldn't actually generate the color. And so they had to do the Apple Euro Plus, I think it was called, which had an adapter card to basically generate the color for PAL. But obviously it was, I mean, Apple IIs were adopted early, but we kind of went for the Commodore route here. Especially for the late 70s, before we had our, you know, the Sinclairs and the Acorn systems arrived. Commodore PETs, or CBMs as they were known here, you know, did very, very well, to be fair. Right, so that's 5. Where's 5 on here? 4, 5, that's 6. So yeah, we're going over there. That's fine. I mean, no one had an Apple product when we had the Macintosh, because the Macintosh wasn't hugely popular here either. By then, it was all Acorn or IBM PC compatibles or clones. So Wintel machines. I can just imagine someone watching this back, if they follow the whole thing, getting really angry. Oh, you've said something I don't like. A lot of that, like a lot of that, unfortunately. where are we? This is Michael still. I have two Pi 3s, but the supply of them seems to be terrible unless you want a 0. Yeah, I can't comment for what it's doing in North America. I know the supply here is fine now. You can actually get hold of stuff. No real problem at all. In fact, let's... Again, not sponsored. Other companies are available. Let's just... oops. That's the wrong button. Right. This is Pi Hut. This is UK. And Raspberry Pi, Pi 5 in stock, Picos are in stock, Pi 4s are in stock, 2Ws are in stock. Let's have a quick go on board so it's easier. Pi 3As are in stock. Yep. Right, what isn't in stock? So Pi 3 Model B isn't in stock. Sorry, B plus isn't, B isn't, and Raspberry Pi 2. Sorry, Pi 0. Not the W, just the 0 isn't. Compute Module 3 isn't. But everything else, including 0W. 0W with header, compute module 4, Pi 2 is in 02 is in stock, 4 and 5 are in stock. Yeah, so variability here, you know, is not terrible actually. Just wow, yeah. So look at the Arduinos. Let's have compatible boards because I cringe at the prices. That's not what I've got. Have I got one of those? Yes, I have. I've got one of those. Right. I'll show you this one because it's got the box. I need to grab mine outright. What on earth possessed this company to package their products to look like a packet of condoms? I mean, seriously. I mean, what is who made that decision? It's like, I think I've got mine behind me somewhere actually. I remember I freaked my parents out and I went to see them and I took it along and I said, what do you think of that? And showed them it and they said, well, what's that? I said, Raspberry Pi condoms. Yes, it's in here. How to get the joke? My mother is a Methodist ordained minister, so basically a vicar. So she has quite... conservative views on things, and I did it. I knew I'd literally get them freaked out about it. So yeah, here we are. There we are. So, I mean, it's a small packet. I'll give you that. But seriously, upside down. There we go. Seriously, it looks like a damn packet of condoms. I mean, what on earth? You know. Oh, Gertmon's disappeared. Oh, right. Didn't see that. I was busy looking at things. I'll just show you this quick because I haven't actually bought this. So basically what this... Hang on. It's full of adapters and cables. Right, here we are. So basically what it is, it's the Raspberry Pi Pico chip. So it's ARM. It's an ARM Cortex M0 chip on a board which is technically pin compatible with the Arduino Nanos, which we were using. So I bought this thinking this would be a perfect, and it still could be a perfect, it's 32-bit by the way, perfect platform for Tiny Basic. So, Gertmon's still with us. So, yeah, well, thanks for joining us by the way, Gertmon, and a very good evening to you. So I'm literally only on for like 9 more minutes and then I'm going to call it a night. But yeah, so I bought these thinking we could actually do something for Tiny Basic. Unfortunately, my Tiny Basic kernel doesn't compile. Wait, okay, tell a lie. It does compile and you can upload it to the Pico. Should have actually got a proper. There we are. proper Pico. It does compile, basically, and you can run it. But the minute you try and list or run a basic program in it, it breaks, basically. It crashes. And it's because Scott, again, from Alpha Works in Australia, he figured what the problem was. He figured it out. Basically, it's 16-bit integers. The ARM chips can't handle it. So when they're doing the listing structure, it uses a 16-bit integer, and that breaks. So basically, it rendered this stuff not particularly usable. However, saying that, I have seen some very impressive and slightly powerful kernels written in CircuitPython, which basic kernels written in CircuitPython. So I am going to investigate those as a next generation basic. And obviously, there's a few other fantastic projects you can do with these. So we're not done with these yet. But a jump to 32-bit architecture, other than the ESP32, which there is a version of Tiny Basic 4 from me that runs on ESP32, that's because that ESP architecture can handle 16-bit integer. If that makes any sense. If anyone's still following me after that sentence, you get the gist. Right. Do you know what? Let's put one more wire in. Now we've looked at the Raspberry Pi condoms. I just want Earth possessed them to package them like that. Seriously. I am not going to settle tonight. I come off the back of these streams and I'm absolutely buzzing. Especially we've had a good stream like this one, which is I hope it's been remotely entertaining. Even if it's one of these things, it's probably better to just sit back and listen to me. If you want to listen to me drone on for many hours, and I do that sometimes with other YouTube content. If I can't watch it, I can sort of just turn the lights off at night, and sometimes you just listen to it like a radio podcast, which obviously doesn't always work, but. Because it's like, oh, look at this, we're doing this, and then you have to look at something and that makes no sense. But sometimes you can just listen, and that's quite nice sometimes. It's not, doing this actually isn't too horrendous. If you get into like a flow, it's not too bad actually. These cars are getting a bit old and abused. You can tell they're abused when you see like the cut marks. It's like dented the metal. These are actually meant for model railway track cutting. They're called Exrons. Well, we call them Exrons. I don't know if it might be Zuron or something actually, but we call them Exron. And yeah, they're meant to be for model train track cutting, but I bought a fresh pair for track cutting, but these ended up just in my general toolbox as a sort of use and abuse type thing, like most of my tools are, unfortunately. But still got the shakes. Don't know why I got the shakes tonight. It's the beginning of the end. I'm probably going to be too shaky to solder anymore. Okay, so let's just check where that was meant to be. So D67. Yeah, D7 onto there. We'll just check where that's gone. D7. Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, we're getting there. It's taking a long time. I will need to finish this next week, so it'll be done before we do another live stream. But so that will sort of, we're going to get that to sit, as I said, like that. So it's going to have a bunch of wires all coming out of it, but it'll do. It'll work. Hopefully, I will need to do a test just to make sure that everything's as expected, but it should be fine. And yeah, so I think we're coming up to the end now. As I said, I'm going to call it a night at 10:30. But we've done a full stream this evening, which is fantastic, and obviously really enjoyed your company. So thank you so much for all of you that have stuck with us tonight. And it's a good 9 of you still with us. 10. Hello, someone's come on. What's going on? We're just about to call it a night is what's going on. I will just say a shout out to everybody who will no doubt watch this, as many of you do actually watch this on pre-record, post-record, you know what I mean, watch it back. So it's been good, and yeah, so the plan is to do this again the same time next week, 8 till 8 from 2000 hours GMT. Not sure what we'll do next week. Don't think it'll be this, because I need to get this finished for next week, so that needs to be done. As I said, I have got this ZX81 we could look at. We probably do need to look at that. As it's been sitting there ridiculous. I'm just looking up there. All the stuff is just up there, and I've actually, tell you what, quick show. I've shown these before, but I'll show you again. Oh, sending cassettes flying. So be careful, there's something magnetic nearby to upset these. But these are brand new ZX81 cassettes with new games on. And so I bought these a little while ago for the project, and they actually work on 1K of RAM, so an unexpanded system from Chronosoft, and they actually gave me £1 off each cassette actually, because of who I am. Which sounds really egotistical, and I didn't mean that to sound like that, but you know what I mean. So I've actually bought a few of these tapes to play, so actually we can play off actual tapes, which should be cool. But I actually have plans for the ZX81. I want to do an upgrade, including putting a... sorry, let me just put this tape back. These have been sitting up here. But yeah, I bought a couple actually of cassettes. All brand new cassettes, new games. And yeah, I want to do a project with that where I want to add ESP32 to a ZX81 permanently, because it allows you to have VGA. So the ZX81 only does RF UHF out, so it doesn't have composite or anything. You can fit composite, but I was thinking of going full hog and doing VGA out, which might mean we need to 3D print. It has got a case, and I've got to decide, do I want to cut up that case, or do I want to 3D print a new case? Because they're a very small machine, so I could 3D print a brand new case, and then we can make modifications and cut it up and change it colour and all sorts. I've got a new membrane keyboard for it. We've got the 16K RAM expansion, original RAM expansion, so we need to decide if we're going to try and fit that permanently or what we're going to do. But I thought if it could soft load stuff, also as tapes, it can load stuff directly from the ESP32. So that's a really cool project, and we probably should look at that. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say yes. We'll do next week. We'll do ZX81 here live on 8 till late. Right. Just before I go, then, just to say once again, thank you to our members. If you want to join, please do consider joining and supporting us. You can on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. Or alternatively, as so many of you actually do, we're over on YouTube channel members. Support starting from 99 pence or up to $2.99, and that will be converted into your local currency. If it can't be, you'll see it in US dollars. And that's just about it for this evening. So if you haven't done so already, please do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And we've got plenty more coming up, including the unexpected Youyeetoo R1 sponsor product that there you are, you can see that, yeah, which arrived on my doorstep today, and I was not expecting that, so that's going to be very cool to look at. But that will be a sponsored video that we'll be doing shortly on the channel, and I hope to see you, all being well, I hope to see you same time, same place next week. Until then, have a fantastic evening wherever you are in the world, and good night and bye for now.